So today I'm here on the couch with the lovely Lisa Picken from Hummingbird Nutrition, who's a menopause expert and also works with reflux. Hello,
Hello,
thanks for joining us.
thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is exactly you do.
So, I'm a nutritional therapist and a health coach, and I specialized in menopause and reflux. And that came about because I often see reflux happening, just appearing in menopause. So, become a specialist in that as well.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yes, not a lot of people know the connection there. So I see people, not just women, but people in a one-to-one setting, and I also see them over Zoom. And I work naturally with nutrition and lifestyle interventions to bring them better health.
Okay. So you find that maybe reflux is one of those symptoms to tell you there's something else that's not quite right.
Yes, I mean, if it's appearing in menopause or perimenopause and you've never suffered with it before, it's highly likely that it's associated with a drop in estrogen. But I do see, I've had a lot of male clients who've come to see me with reflux as well. So obviously that's nothing to do with perimenopause,
Yes.
um, but it's a lot to do about the digestive system not being fully online as well.
Okay. And how did you get into this line of work? It sounds very interesting.
It was through my own health journey. So years ago, I was going back and forwards to the GP, getting tests done, and I was told everything was fine. All the test results were coming back, no problems there. But I was taking painkillers on a daily basis for headaches. Um, I was absolutely exhausted at work. I would be yawning my head off at work, and my boss kept saying, "Have you had another late night?" I go, "No, I was in bed for 9 o'clock." And because I wasn't getting the answers from the GP, I started doing my own research and the value of good nutrition and the impact that has on the body. And I just became fascinated. So I started helping myself and then decided I want to train in this. I'm so excited about it. It was fascinating to know that the body is always trying to heal itself with
Mm.
whatever you're putting into it.
And that's quite an interesting story that we hear of a lot of people with all sorts of issues. First of all, go straight to the doctor. But it's interesting how nutrition and lifestyle changes can be just as effective than medication.
I would say more because the medication's always been built on things in nature. And when you go to your GP, that medication is just a sticking plaster to stop you feeling that pain or that symptom. But your GP never stops to say, what are you eating? What are you drinking? What's your hydration levels like? What's your sleeping like? What's your environment that you are? How's your stress levels? But they're not saying, they're not looking at your food. And if you could be somebody who eats 5 McDonald's a day, and no wonder you're feeling ill because you're not nourishing your body at cellular level.
Mm.
And that's where so many people go wrong.
And certainly, I'm really into that belief that if we give the body what it needs, it can usually heal most issues.
Yeah.
It's just that quite often we need that expert guidance of how to do that. And the research is changing all the time, especially with nutrition, that we're finding so many new things. But it is shocking the amount of GPs, because we see a lot of GPs here in the practice who have no training at all in nutrition or
No,
lifestyle.
they don't. They're just lost. And um, I have people who come to me and they say they've been to the GP and they can't help them any further.
Mm.
The test results, like mine, said everything's fine, but clearly that person is really unwell. And just by addressing the lifestyle changes and the nutrition and changing what they eat can make a huge difference. But a lot of clients who come to work with me say, well, I eat quite well anyway. But I always ask people to fill out a 5-day food diary and I have a look and see really what they are eating. And it really is their idea of eating well and my idea of eating well usually is quite a difference. And it's once I help educate them on that, then that's when the transformation starts to happen.
Why do you think there's such a difference in the belief that people have about healthy eating?
It's the social media, it's the TV, it's the advertising, the food industry is bombarding us
Mm.
with ultra processed food, saying, and labeling it up as high protein. But what they don't tell you is what else is in that packaging,
Mm.
in that food, that it's still high sugar and high salt and high fat. but they've chosen on one thing to promote that, to make it appealing, to say it's good for your health. So I think it's just the food industry itself, and then we've lost sight of eating as our grandparents did. Everything comes processed, pre-made, because we're all in a rush, all time poor. So we're looking for a quick grab and go, not much thought, we haven't got the time, and let's just eat that, and that will do.
Yeah, I kind of remember that journey. So I always remember my grandmother, who was about 30, 40 years older than my mother, always looking younger, having more energy. And my mother, bless her, she wasn't a very good cook, but slowly in time, all these convenience foods came out, and there was such, I don't know, such an enthusiasm to adopt this sort of thing.
I
So
remember
for
that, yeah.
Sunday lunch, we didn't have orange juice. We had this powdered stuff you'd mix in a packet,
Yes.
and it tasted awful.
That's the thing. You had to train your taste buds to enjoy this new processed food. I remember when microwaves first came out, and my mother bought a microwave, and she tried to do the whole Sunday dinner in the microwave. It was awful.
Yes.
An anemic chicken. It was awful. But the convenience foods have come in, and we've accepted them as that's the standard way that we should eat. And when people find out what I eat, they go, "Oh, why are you eating that?" As if I'm wrong and they're right.
Yeah.
Whereas they're the ones with the health complaints, and I'm not. We've just seemed to have flipped everything on our heads.
Certainly, I mean, with addiction problems that we work with alcohol and food, the experts are saying it is not the individual, it's the brainwashing and the manipulation that they've had, that we need to eat these foods or this is better for us. And it's a shame that most education for food now comes from those food companies who purposely spend billions every year trying to get us addicted and buy more. And the governments, every time they try and change things, seem to get a backlash. There's always problems. So it's not fair on the individual when they've got these beliefs. It's not their fault, but it's just they're getting ill because of this. And I think the last statistic I read was something like 90% of illness is caused by the food and the lifestyle that we have, rather than using some education. And you mentioned an interesting point that people are time poor, and a lot of people think it's difficult to cook nutritious food or that it's expensive. What would be your experience of that?
Talking about the time poor aspect, if you put your mobile phone down, you could gain probably 2 or 3, 4 hours a day. So that's just my take on being time poor. We've got different focuses on that, but it's not expensive to eat well. If you go in the fruit and veg, the downside in the fruit and veg aisle is you never get the bog offs. You never get the buy one get one free on the healthy foods. You get that on the rubbish, the ultra processed foods. But I batch cook. I cook everything from scratch. I have things made up ready in the fridge to grab and go when I'm full. When I'm busy. So it's not necessarily that I'm having to cook a whole meal from scratch each time. I've got components in the fridge that I can just pull things together quickly, because when you're in the rush, that's when you tend to go for that processed food, that ready-made food, the ready meal or the sandwich at the garage or whatever. But if you've got component parts in the fridge ready to go, you can quickly build a meal together. Healthy salad, and I'm not just talking lettuce, cucumber and tomato. That's my worst thought of a salad ever. I wouldn't go anywhere near that. But when you've got sweet potatoes in there, you've got nuts, you've got seeds, you've got artichokes in there, you've got good source of protein and things like that. But when you buy whole joints of meat, you can pack them out and make them last more than the one meal. So initially it's expensive, but when you think, actually, I bought all these set of ingredients, I can make 4 meals out of that, then it doesn't. And actually the processed food is far more expensive.
Yes, so I remember years ago I was doing some voluntary fundraising for a charity in a co-op, and I saw the same people coming in and buying a breakfast meal to go in a microwave, and then they'd come back at lunchtime to buy a burger, and then they'd come back for the tea. And they would say they couldn't afford to donate to this charity, but when you look at the money they're spending, I couldn't afford to live on that. But
It's quite shocking how much it costs getting a meal deal, or meal deal for your lunch from the supermarket, and on the way to work, you'd stop off at Costa or Starbucks and you get your coffee, and then you get something else to go with it, donut, whatever to go with it, and then you're late home from work, so you stop off at the takeaway. That mounts up.
It does. It does. In fact, I was listening to a financial expert the other week on a podcast, and he said it's amazing that in America people are spending $15 on lunch as a quick meal deal.
God.
And I think when I prep and I make a big salad and I add a lot to it, probably cost me £2 or £3, and I get a lot more energy.
And well, it makes you feel amazing if you eat the processed or ultra processed meal, whether that's a sandwich, and then record how you feel 20 minutes, half an hour after that, write that down, and then have a healthy meal and see how you feel and compare the two. There's no comparison.
There's not.
You have oodles of energy and feel wide awake with the healthy meal, but with the processed meal, that's where that 3 o'clock sun comes in. You feel tired, you feel lethargic. You think, I need a coffee to keep me going. I need this Kit Kat. I need that sugar fix to get me through the next couple of hours before I can get home.
And that's addiction is interesting as we get that addiction, that dopamine rush by eating these foods, which make us feel better as a short-term thing, but then make us feel worse. So back to the menopause, how quickly do you see benefits when people start to change the diet?
Oh, goodness. I mean, it depends what else is going on for them. But I've had clients who've seen a difference in their sleep in just 2 days, changing what they've eaten. Now, that is huge because sleep drives an awful lot of symptoms. If you've had a poor night's sleep, it affects the way that you feel, your mood, the foods that you reach for the next day, your energy levels. So impacting your sleep that quickly can make a huge difference. But it does it can happen 2 days, 1 week, where you've got improved sleep, you've got improved energy levels, that brain fog's going, you've got the focus starting to come back, you feel better in yourself. It's amazing the difference good food can make, and people don't realize that in perimenopause and menopause, nutrition is foundational. It is the crux of how bad your symptoms are.
Certainly, yeah. Well, we see similar things with anxiety in that people are just living on a junk food diet.
Yeah.
And then shocked within a week how their anxiety comes down by 50-60%.
Yeah.
So when we try to work with clients and they're kind of programmed to eat this stuff, what are the challenges you see as they try to move on to a healthier diet?
Initial resistance because they feel like they're giving up something. They feel like they're missing out on having that pizza, those foods. But once they realize it's changing that mindset that they're not missing out, they're going to gain something. They're going to gain that energy. They're going to gain that reduction, clarity in cognition. They're going to gain that sort of zest for life again. So, and it's putting that in place, but it's trying to just do it at small steps. For each client goes at a different pace, and just to get that first step in place, maybe let's look at breakfast, get that nailed and get that into the routine, and then they start looking at the next meal, and we start going through and trying to take everything on at once. It's just too overwhelming, no matter what you're doing, and it won't work. So it's taking small enough steps to make a difference, but to embed that in is your new habit.
Yeah, it is. I think that's the key, that people do try to change everything in one go, and then they're taking too much information from too many channels.
And then they say, oh, it's not working, it's too much. And then they give up and say, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
But this is why you need that guidance, you need that accountability and that support to do it at the pace that works for you, that you can embed those changes in and make them lasting changes. Because that's the key here. It's lasting changes. It's not like this is a 6-month diet or 3-month diet and then you can go back to eating your old ways. You need to change the way that you view food, what it does for you.
Certainly. I know when I was going through my issues when I was much younger and I started to adopt a healthy diet, the difference was absolutely massive to see. And then from that, it was, I didn't go 100%. I did sort of have a rule of maybe 80-20, that 80% of the time I ate well and 20% I would have fun. And that seemed to work really well for me. And yes, the thing I didn't have at the time was that idea of just taking those little steps to make it easier. Because that's it, we need to learn and we notice how our bodies change.
Yes, and it's understanding that what is actually working for you. And I love that 80-20 rule. It's, for me, it's not about perfection, because that makes you miserable. It makes you feel like, you're up against it all the time. When you can eat well for 80% of that time, when you go out with your friends or you want to do something different for that 20%, your body isn't flawed by those, because it's in peak condition. So it can cope, it can brush it off. It doesn't take you the whole weekend to recover from a few drinks and a meal out with your friends.
That's it. Yeah, it works really nicely. So it's interesting that usually when people go to the doctor for menopause, they're pushing sort of HRT or other medication. What do you see as the difference?
So, yeah, GPs are trained to look at the symptoms and match that with HRT. For me, I prefer to look at the nutrition foundations, because if they're not in place and you get this HRT, then that HRT isn't going to touch the sides. You are still going to have all the same problems. It might take the edge off things, but for everybody who comes to me, it's a case of, right, okay, let's see what you're eating. What is driving your symptoms? And unfortunately, when you get into perimenopause and menopause, things like alcohol have a real big impact on your hormones and that perimenopause sort of hormonal chaos and the symptoms that come with it. So it's looking at that. Your body does things differently as you get older in this 40 to 50 year age bracket. You can't do what you did in your 30s. It will never work.
Certainly, yeah. It is interesting as we get older, although we might still have the mind of a 25-year-old, is that those nights out or trying to go out and exercise as much does become a lot more difficult. But I've read repeatedly that the digestive system becomes so less efficient as we get older, and
It
we
does.
need to tailor our diet.
Yes, because your stomach acid, as you get older, your stomach acid production decreases, which means that digestion on a whole is much harder. So we have to make sure that we have our digestive system working optimally. But for me, going back to the HR story, I often question, controversially, do we really need HRT? Because our bodies are naturally declining those hormones for a reason. We're no longer in our reproductive years, so we don't need high levels of those. So why are we adding them back in? Are we not creating another storm? Because you're going to have to come off them at some point.
That's right.
But I just don't, and it doesn't sit right with me. Although I do work with women who are on HRT, I've managed my menopause journey without HRT, and I've done it naturally. And I'm a great advocate for that, because if you think about like the third world countries and the women who are in there who don't have access to the Medicare that we have, and they're fine, they haven't got broken bones, they're still looking after younger generations in the family, but they haven't got the stress that we've got. They haven't got the ultra processed foods that we have, the just the demands on daily life. And I just think we need to start looking after ourselves better before reaching for that sticking plaster of the HRT. For a lot of clients who come to me, when we get their nutrition right, their symptoms fall by the wayside. They really do. I had one lady who came to me and she said she had to eat her meals wrapped in a towel because her sweats, her hot flushes were drenching her, literally drenching her clothes. And every time she would eat, she would get this hot flush, severe hot flush, and she had to wear a towel because it was ruining her clothes.
Wow.
And after 3 months of working with me, she didn't have that problem.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And that was just through the power of nutrition.
So how do you feel as you do this and you get these results with clients?
Oh, it's the reason why I do this. It's the transformation. I just say I love it because it just brings them a new lease of life. I've got people who come to see me and their skin's dull. They've got their eyes, behind their eyes is dead. And after the 12 weeks, they've got their sparkle back. Their eyes are sparkling. Their skin is glowing. They've got way more energy, and it just opens up their world. Because when people come to see me when they're really sick, their world is very insular, it's very closed in, they're very contracted. And by the end of 3 months, you know, the world has opened up. They're doing things that they weren't doing. This lady who was having the night sweats was off paddleboarding. She'd never paddleboarded in her life. So this is why I do it. And there's also a ripple effect in the family. So the people who are living with you end up eating slightly better, even if they say, I'm not going to touch that, or I don't want that. But they see the transformation of the person who's come to see me. And there's the ripple effect. I've had people say that their teenage children or even younger have said, well, can I have what you've got, Mum, instead of this? Because I don't like that, I want that. So it ripples through the family. And I think, well, that's the reason why I do this, to bring people, to make them feel so much better.
It's interesting, that ripple effect. I remember when I was younger, my mother had a little part in the cupboard that was just for her Slimming World food. And because we were told we couldn't have it, we really craved it and we would sneak a
Yeah,
bit of it. It was really funny. And that's something we do quite often when people have problems with children who won't eat. It's usually because there's an example by the adult.
yeah.
And if we
Mm-hmm.
just create some lovely food and we enjoy it, it's amazing how the kids then want to have that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there's
Completely.
so much happening now with neurodivergent, with people struggling with certain tastes and textures.
Yes.
But one of the things we find is that if people try something maybe a dozen times, they start to like it. But we are quite insular. I remember years ago when I was starting to study nutrition, I was told there's over 100,000 different foods on this planet. And most people stick to a combination of 12.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go back to that now. My parents used to have the same meals on the same days.
Oh, that's pet hate.
And it's just as I kind of went vegetarian and then went vegan, I just started eating a much bigger range of foods. And I
Mm,
much prefer that. And people think it's a restriction, but it's exactly the opposite.
I would totally agree. I went vegan about 10 years now, and what's on my plate is far different to what it was
Mm.
back then. My plate now is full of colour. And if I see somebody in a restaurant looking and I look over to what they're eating, it's all that beige colour. I go, yeah, that doesn't look
Yeah,
appealing. And then I look at what I've got and I go, I can't wait to dive into this. It's colour, it's texture, it's everything. It's lovely. And I know it's going to sort of fire up my body with all that energy. But I eat a lot more diversely now. And I can't eat the same meal several times in a week. I like that diversity. I like to change things up. I just love all the different foods. And every time I go in the supermarket, I go, what haven't I had for a while? Oh, let's try some chicory. Oh, what about this? Oh, I've not seen this before. Let's try and see what it
yeah.
is.
It's amazing, and it's not so easy up here in the northeast. But there's been a couple of times I've been to restaurants that do sort of really good whole food plant-based food, and it's just something that you've never had before. But it's
Yeah,
so tasty and it's so healthy
yeah.
without all that fat and sugar and salt. And it's just then I try and find a way to make that,
Snap,
and
I did the same.
and it's usually I don't quite get it right, but it's still a delicious meal.
Yeah, but it means that you've tried something different as well.
It
And
does.
I take something like that and then do a variation of mine, and it just tastes so much better.
It does. And of course, people don't have to go vegan. It's just by adding more whole foods into the diet, we see benefits in every single way.
Yes.
And then, yeah, you can have that with your meat or whatever you need to do. But it is weird when, again, when we work with people with anxiety, is that we introduce them to more good foods, and the more they taste them, the more they like them, and the more they incorporate more and more of them. And we just see benefits all the way around.
Mm-hmm. I mean, working with me, I don't enforce that vegan uh, food lifestyle. It's working with the client where they're at. And as you say, it's not about taking away foods, it's about adding more
Certainly,
things
yeah.
in, adding in the good stuff so
Mhm.
it outweighs the bad stuff so that your body has a chance to heal from within at cellular level.
That's it. And it can make such a difference,
Oh,
the results
completely.
we see.
Hmm.
So if we could go back to your pre-therapist self and say what's one piece of advice you could give yourself to help your clients more, what would that be?
Oh, good question. Manage your stress levels better. Looking back now after I've retrained and I'm in the job that I do now, I can see now that chronic stress was probably the driver of my ill health.
Hmm.
And because it was chronic for so long, it had more chance to develop bigger symptoms in there. So I would say manage your stress levels, remove the stress that you can remove, and the stress that you can't, because everybody has a level of stress that they can't do anything about.
Mm-hmm.
Learn tools that help bring you off the ceiling to lower those stress levels. And it can make a big difference.
Certainly, it is, again, the statistics that one of the biggest causes of illness, other than food and lifestyle, is stress.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people get to 40 or 50 and they're totally burnt out.
Yeah.
And of course, diet is one of the best ways of helping with that. What sort of stress management tools do you use yourself?
I like to go out and be in nature and go for a walk. So if I'm feeling a bit pent up, I would take myself out for a walk. But what I also have, and I absolutely love, is I've got a rebounder at home.
Right.
And I love this. And I just put it out in the middle of the floor and start bouncing. 2 to 3 minutes, and my thoughts, my brain function is completely different to when I started. The dopamine starts to come in. I feel much better. So if I start it and I feel a bit tense or agitated by something, get on the rebounder, 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm in a completely different mood when I jump off that. Love it.
I think they're amazing. Quite some years ago, I went to a gym, and as I was working out, there was all these ladies on these rebounders doing a class. And you'd see them come in sort of low energy, and within 3 minutes, the smiles on their faces were just amazing. And that prompted me to buy one.
All right.
I really got to Jason Vale and all that sort of thing.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
Jason Vale, again, that's a whole nother show we could do. But yeah, getting the juicing and good exercise. And definitely from the psychology side, there's now a term called forest bathing.
Oh, yeah.
And
we did that a few weeks ago.
And we're discovering more and more that just by getting out in the blues and the greens,
yeah.
First of all, sunshine does more than just give us vitamin D. It seems to help with mental health in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But they're now saying that those trees are emitting a fungus and energy and all
their
sorts of
energy
things.
levels. Yes, we had a family day out. My daughter and her partner came and stayed up with us, and we took them to Cragside House, and we took the 2 dogs, and we were walking up through. We took the high craggy walk, and I says, right, okay, look at all this. It was gorgeous scenery, loads of trees in the forest. And I says, come on, let's do a bit of forest bathing, right? Hug a tree. And they all said, really? And I went, come on, let's try it. And we all hugged it, and I went, I actually feel calmer after hugging a tree.
Definitely.
And that was the first time I've actually physically done it.
Yeah, my partner loves going out hugging trees. It's quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. We had a day out at Cragside about a week or so ago. And what was quite interesting was we brought some of the family together, and there was a bit of bickering and arguments in the car, and they're all on devices. In fact, we had to go to a shop to pick up a charger because somebody had forgotten their charger. And the argument was she wanted it so she could take lots of photos. But when we got them out and into the woods and we started walking and the phones went off, the difference in just everybody in disconnecting from the internet and connecting to the world was massive.
Yeah, the cortisol levels start coming down, don't they?
Yeah. And again, another study I read recently was if you've got severe anxiety problems in the morning, just getting out for a walk brings that cortisol down so nicely and brings in the dopamine.
I even suggest to my clients, if they can't get out for a walk, when they wake up first thing in the morning, is open their bedroom window and stick their face out into the daylight. If they haven't got a garden, open the window and hang out the window for 10 minutes, and you'll be amazed how that improves your mood and wakes the body up, reduces the cortisol levels.
I think it's quite interesting with all these sort of different health issues as people are looking for something big or the latest new thing to help us with things.
It's back to nature.
Often it's back to nature. It's eating the right food. Even just getting your hands in the soil when you're gardening is supposed to be so good for you. So it's getting back to those basics.
We've all lost it. We've all moved on from the basics and go and think, what's the latest craze? What's the latest biohack? We're not doing what we used to do. And this is why we're all sick.
It is. So if somebody was coming to realize that they had a problem with menopause, what are the first couple of steps you'd say they should be doing?
So we need to be looking at sleep, because sleep is foundational. Your stress levels are foundational. Balancing your blood sugars. that
very much.
exhaustion that we have, that brain fog comes with unbalanced unbalanced blood sugars, and keeping your digestive system working. Because if you're constipated, then you're holding on to the waste product from your food, and that actually is recirculating, because between your intestines and your bloodstream is only one cell thick. So if it's hanging around for more than a day, it's being reabsorbed and recirculating. So those toxins are going round the body again for another pass, which is why it's important to balance your gut and your digestive system.
Yeah, I don't think enough people take that seriously enough at all.
No, they
There's
don't.
more and more studies coming out talking about gut health and the gut biome, and I think they're learning new things every day, and we just haven't even scratched the surface.
Oh, we haven't. I completely agree. But when people say that, it's normal for them to go to the toilet once every 3 or 4 days, that might be normal for them.
Oh,
But that means those toxins have been recirculating
yes.
for 3 or 4 days. And usually when we look at their diet, they're lacking in hydration and lacking in fiber, which is why that's normal for them, because they've never eaten those things.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Well, thank you for that. It's been a really interesting talk. We'll do some
Thank
more
you.
in the future. If somebody wanted to contact you, where would they find you?
So my website is hummingbirdnutrition.co.uk. You can contact me on there. I like to have a little health chat with everybody, which is a free 15-minute health chat. So you can book that in with me. There's also on my page, if you're wondering about perimenopause, whether you're in there, whether your symptoms are severe enough to do anything with, I've got a page on there that says perimenopause, and it's got a quiz on there. So you can take this free quiz, pop your email in, and then you'll get a response that says you've got mild, moderate, or severe symptoms, and whether you should be doing something about seeking help with it. But also you get my free 4 pillars of menopause, and they're my techniques that I used on myself to mitigate my menopause symptoms. So it gives you a great starting point for menopause.
That's good. So please check that out. There's some good resources there. Thank you, Lisa, so much for coming in and having a chat today.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
thank you so much for watching us. We'll be doing more of these in the future. So we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.